The anime begins as a hard worker named Noor does some jobs around town. He's well respected by everyone for his work ethic, and he makes a decent living. One day, when being paid, Noor hears a girl calling for help, and he rushes into a cave to find that she's being attacked by a ferocious beast. A look back to 15 years ago shows a young Noor making some medicine for his sick mother. The hard-working Noor gets ready to bring in the goats, so his mother reminds him not to go beyond a certain rock. His mother is clearly very sick, so Noor plans to go make her some more tea, but his mother stops him. She apologizes for not being able to do anything for him, and she tells Noor to live the life he wants. That night Noor makes dinner, but he's terrified when he finds out his mother passed away. Noor puts his mother to rest the next day and begins learning how to live life all on his own. Noor's life is filled with responsibility, but he has no one by his side. One night Noor finds a book, and it triggers a memory from when his father used to read to him. This story in particular is about an adventurer that slayed a dragon with his friends. He learned magic spells from a sorcerer and broke a curse that was cast upon a forest. The adventurers' group was highly respected, as they always raised their swords and struck down evil for the sake of their friends. Noor is still in awe of this adventurer, and he remembers how his mother told him to live the life he wanted to live. One day Noor decides to leave town for the first time ever, and he declares that he will become an adventurer. Noor says goodbye to his deceased parents and exits the barrier protecting his home. After days of traveling, Noor is amazed by the sight of the gigantic royal capital. He enters it for the first time ever and marvels at all the people there. He is especially amazed by one guy that looks like an adventurer, and he eventually arrives at his destination. It's the Adventurers Guild at the guards at the front gate told him about, but the clerk tells him to leave. It's just not a place for kids. He tells Noor to go back to his parents, but Noor reveals that they both passed away. The clerk warms up to him a bit and explains that those wanting to register at the Royal Capital's Adventurers Guild must first take lessons at the Royal Training Schools. He suggests that if Noor really wants to become an adventurer, then he must acquire some skills first. Noor hears that this means stuff like magic and the art of the sword, so he gets excited to go to the schools. Heroes in storybooks are strong enough to defeat dragons as big as mountains with just one strike, so Noor is eager to learn how to become a hero. Noor attends the School of Heroes, but he can only watch as his classmates begin unlocking their magical powers. Noor's instructor eventually grows tired of waiting for Noor to unlock his powers, and tells him that continuing to try would only be a waste of his time. The only thing Noor has learned to do is parrying to evade an attack. The instructor thinks that Noor should choose a different path, and he's suggesting he tried a different training school. Noor does and arrives at a school for warriors. Warriors risk their lives as shields for their friends, so Noor finds some optimism because that is pretty close to being an adventurer. Warrior training is incredibly grueling, but even after a few months of training, Noor's physical abilities only improve slightly. The instructor warns that he will lose his life if he continues to push himself, so Noor is told to try hunter training instead. Unfortunately, Noor is told that he is terrible with delicate weaponry, so he tried thief training instead. He isn't suited for that either though, so he tries magic training. Noor is only able to create the tiniest flame, even after months of training, and Gandalf is shocked because it's rare to see people as incapable of using magic as Noor is. Noor's last attempted to become a cleric, but he can barely manage to heal scratches after months. The clerk is shocked to hear that Noor could not learn a single useful skill after spending 3 months training at each school, and he unfortunately tells Noor that he cannot register as an adventurer. The discouraged Noor realizes that he is no prodigy and returns home. He is more sure than ever that he has no talent. However, this has not stopped the spirited Noor, and he declares that he just needs to train much harder. Noor makes his own sword, and remember, is what his sword instructor told him. He said that if Noor practices one skill repeatedly, he might be able to master a new skill. Parrying was the only real skill he acquired from training, so he decides to train at morning, noon, and night for as long as he can. 1 year passes and Noor has increased his parrying skills so much that he can now evade 10 swords in one breath. He doesn't have any new skills yet, but his parrying has improved immensely. 3 years later, Noor is now able to evade 100 swords in one breath. However, he still doesn't have any new skills, so Noor determines he has no chance of ever becoming an adventurer. Noor continues training though, eventually destroying his sword and seeing a light in his hand. Noor is incredibly determined and the size that he needs to train even harder. 10 years later, Noor thinks about how he has trained every day without fail, and he can now parry 1,000 wooden swords. Unfortunately, he still has not achieved any new skills. Noor decides to try and become an adventurer one last time and heads back to the capital. At the guild, the receptionist sees like he only knows the weakest skills. She suggested he go to the training schools, but Noor explains that he has already tried all of them. The girl apologized because Noor cannot be allowed to register, but Noor expected this. Just then the old clerk appears, but he doesn't recognize Noor. He eventually remembers him, and he's glad to hear that Noor has been training on his own. Noor explains it hasn't gone well at all though, because he only managed to improve his parrying skill a little. The old guy explains that adventurers are ranked from E to S rank. In order to be recognized as an E rank, a person must have more than one useful skill. Noor's said list of skills doesn't show anything useful, so Noor's dreams are crushed again. However, the old clerk says that there's more than one way to become an adventurer. There is actually something lower than E rank, and that is F rank. Noor can't believe that he might still be able to become an adventurer this way, but there are some conditions. He would be forbidden from taking any quests that involve taking lives or venturing out of the city to gather items. This means that he will only be able to accept tasks around the city. No one bothers becoming an adventurer this way, but the clerk is shocked. Noor eagerly wants to do it. Noor registers, so the clerk gives him his F-rank adventurer license. The clerk doesn't think it's a big deal, but this is life-changing for Noor, so he thanks him. Noor enhances his strength bit and gets right to work doing tasks around the town. He also increases his speed to catch a cat and uses heel to fix some scratches he got from the cat. Noor uses his tiny flame to make dinner, and the rock trick to entertain some kids. Noor has finally achieved his dream of becoming an adventurer that helps people, and he fears that asking for anything more it would be too much. We then return to the present, where Noor runs into the cave and finds people being attacked by a monster. Noor has only seen monsters in books, and he's shocked to see how big it is. Some guards tried to protect the girl, and the captain gets attacked. Noor goes to check on him, but finds that the captain is already gone. The monster ferociously attacks the other guards, and Noor can tell that they won't survive. Seconds later, Noor's fear proves to be correct. As the monster eradicates all the guards, the beast turns its attention to the girl, but Noor uses a stone throw attack to get its attention. Noor knows what he has to do, so he runs to get some space, and he realizes how fast the beast is. Noor then turns to it and uses parry, which sends the monster flying. The beast attacks him, so Noor uses his parrying skill, but he knows that he will lose his life if he gets hit by an attack. Noor's plan is to wait for an opening so he can counterattack, but he remembers that that won't work because he doesn't have any attack skills. Noor sees that the girl still hasn't run away, and the monster seems to be attracted to her ring. The monster goes to attack her, but Noor uses his feather step ability to speed up, and he parries his attack. His sword shatters, but Noor declares that even if he can't become an adventurer or hero, he wants to at least be able to protect this girl. Noor remembers how his father said that adventurers raise their swords to strike down evil for the weak, and he prepares himself for the monster's attack. Noor then uses parry with perfect timing to stop the beast attack, and Noor's parry slices the monster's head right off. Noor realizes that he would have been a goner if the monster was any bigger, and he now knows how unrealistic it would be for him to travel the world and go on adventures at his current level. The girl thanks Noor for saving her life, and she would like to know his name. Noor simply says that he's no one important and leaves. That night, Noor thinks about how one monster who wasn't even a demon was such a problem for him. He shakes uncontrollably and once again determines that he must continue to train harder. The story continues. We see in the cave shows the aftermath of Noor's battle against the beast. A knight apologizes for not being there to protect the girl named Lynn, but Lynn says it's okay because there's no point in having an escort for the trials for the right to the throne. It was Lynn's decision in the first place, and she apologizes to the knight named Ines for making her worry. Lynn's brother Rain learns about what happened, and he wonders if someone summoned the Minotaur to the city. It is a demon that resides in the abyss, the deepest layer of the dungeon, so someone had to bring it to the surface. Dalkin the knight agrees with him and explains that the source is thought to be a ring found on the corpse of our merchant at the scene. Some old mage analyzed the ring and found that it has a very high quality stone that would not be found on the market. The crest left on the stone indicates that the ring originates from the magic empire of Deridas. This isn't the first time they have been antagonized by Deridas. This time a monster was summoned and Princess Lynn was bound by a barrier, so they realized that they must be careful. Deridas not only wanted to eliminate Lynn, he is also after the kingdom's most valuable resource, the relics of the Dungeon of the Lost. Rain decides to change topics to the mysterious man that saved Lynn. Report says that the guy used a single broadsword and he defeated the Minotaur in just a matter of seconds. The knights followed him after, but the report says that he disappeared before their guys like an illusion. It all sounds pretty unbelievable, so Rain wonders just who this guy is. Back at the guild, old clerk is shocked to see the Noor is still alive because he heard that a demon appeared near the entrance of the dungeon. It was a demon like they have never seen before, and they couldn't find Noor afterwards. Noor thinks about how he was busy getting away from a strange group of people following him, but he just tells the clerk that he was tired and went home. The clerk explains that Noor is really lucky that he didn't bump into the demon. The clerk used to be an A rank, but even he would have lost his life if he encountered the beast. Noor assumes that the clerk is talking about a different monster than the one he fought because his was actually just a big cow monster, not a demon. The clerk also explains that a mysterious man defeated the demon with one blow, and the clueless Noor amazed that there are outstanding people like that out in the world. The clerk pays Noor for his work, but wonders why he's more interested in taking a proper job. Noor has no clue what he's talking about, so the clerk once again has to explain to him that there's a way Noor can earn 30% more without the clerk taking a cut. Just then they're interrupted as Lynn appears, and the clerk is shocked to see her. Lynn is glad to have found Noor, using her long-distance detection skill, and she apologizes for doing so, but explains that she just had to meet him. Noor assumes that she has thief skills, but she explains that her focus is magic and she also has knowledge of all 6 skill systems. Everyone is staring at them, so she would like to speak outside. The clerk is uneasy though, and wonders what kind of trouble Noor got himself into. Lynn explains that talking outside would be better because there are less people there, and no one will be able to eavesdrop on them when she uses her soundproofing and concealment spell. Noor wonders if it's a good idea to go with her, but the clerk tells him that he must. Outside, Noor overhears that everyone is searching for the mystery man, but they begin to wonder if he even really exists. Noor wonders who they are searching for, but Lynn tells them not to worry because they can't be detected. Lynn did all this to thank him for saving her life, and she explains that he actually saved the lives of many others in the nation. Noor points out that Lynn is pretty strong herself, and he thinks he actually just interfered with her fight. She can't imagine what would have happened to her if it wasn't for Noor, so Noor decides to accept her thanks. Lynn wants to compensate him with her deepest gratitude, but the humble Noor says it's not necessary. Her father even wants to thank Noor personally, but Noor also says that's going too far. Lynn explains that she's a person of high status, so she must give something to the person she owes her life to. She gets frustrated though when Noor rejects all her offers because he doesn't need anything. She eventually begins to cry and declares that Noor is obligated to accept her gratitude, so she refuses to move an inch until he does. This makes Noor remember the determination he had when trying to train at the schools, and he said he wouldn't leave either. Noor agrees to her demands because simply meeting her father doesn't seem like much of a hassle. Noor is surprised when she gets really cautious about it, and she explains that she doesn't want people to spot them. To keep that from happening, she uses concealment, detection, occlusion, and multiple other skills to hide them. Noor is shocked to see how huge her house is, but she says it's pretty common for her kind of family. Noor finally gives her his name and then realizes that she hasn't formally introduced herself yet. Her name is Lynneburg Clays, and she goes as Lynn when she is adventuring. Noor can't believe how gigantic her house is, so he assumes that she's some kind of aristocrat. Lynn asks Ines is where her father is, and Ines explains that he's speaking with Rain. Lynn explains that Noor is her special guest, and he is the one that risked his life to save hers. Ines is shocked to hear this and decides to take them to Lynn's father. Noor is completely lost at this point as he assumes that Ines is the family maid, although he thinks it would be strange since you would have a tough time cleaning and doing laundry in her outfit. Ines is very serious, and Noor can tell that she seems suspicious of him. On their way, some guy aggressively wonders who Noor is, and Noor realizes that this house is pretty dangerous. This guy's name is Gilbert, and Ines tells them that Noor is their special guest. Gilbert realizes that this is the guy everyone is looking for, but he doesn't think that Noor looks very special. Ines tells Gilbert to accompany them and secretly reveals that she is skeptical of Noor, so the more escorts they have the better. Gilbert becomes very serious and agrees to go with them. Nearby, the king is upset because Deridas is ignoring the peace treaty. He demanded that they hand over all the rights to the dungeon and offered to lend them his military power in return. The king knew that it was a scummy deal that would ruin his nation, so he refused, but Deridas has told him that he would regret his words. Rain explains that Deridas is not the only threat they are facing, and the king realizes that it's finally time for something. Just then Lynn arrives with everyone. Noor doesn't notice everyone else bowing down and he just walks right up to Lynn's father's. Rain sees that Lynn's wearing the hermit's cloak and he is furious because it means that she went outside. Lynn explains that she had to find the person that saved her life and she introduces Noor to her father. Lynn's father is glad that he came and Noor explains that he isn't an aristocrat, so he doesn't know proper etiquette in these situations. Lynn's father actually prefers it this way because it makes him easier to talk to and he formally thanks Noor for saving his daughter. Noor accepts his words, as that's all the gratitude he needs and he is relieved that it's finally all over with, so he can head straight home now. Lynn's father wants to reward him properly though, and offers to give him money and land. He wants to know what Noor desires, but Noor just says that he doesn't want anything like that. Lynn's father then offers treasures from the dungeon. Their country possesses the world's oldest dungeon and its treasures are incredibly rare. All the items found in the dungeon are stored in the treasure hall and he offers to let Noor take half of the items stored away in there. Rain is shocked as he points out that his father is being way too generous, but Noor once again declines. He doesn't need anything fancy and their kind words are thank you enough for him. Lynn's father doesn't know what to give a man that doesn't want money, land, or treasure, but Noor just wants to get out of there. Lynn's father resorts to his most extreme offer and shows Noor the sword he keeps behind his throne. Rain wonders what his father is thinking, but the king explains that it's okay because the sword has become nothing more than a mere decoration at this point. Giving it to Noor will be way better than just letting it sit unused and no one will notice if he replaces it with the replica anyway. No one can believe that the king is giving Noor this sword and Noor is shocked by how heavy it is. Noor can tell that the sword is priceless, so he declares that he can't accept such a gift. Lynn's father explains that it's just something he picked up and he only used it because he liked it. It's really not that big of a deal, so Noor decides to accept it. Lynn's father tells him to try it out, so Noor enhances his strength and the powerful swing he takes shocks everyone. Lynn's father's impressed by how he was able to swing it one-handed and he asks Noor if you can help toughen up his daughter. Things are getting pretty dangerous, so he's worried about her, but Noor doesn't think there's anything he can teach her. On top of that, Noor thinks that parents shouldn't interfere too much with their children and Lynn should decide that for herself. Lynn's father completely agrees with him and Noor thinks about how this guy likes to laugh a lot. Noor decides that it's time for him to go, so Lynn's father thanks him once again. As he leaves, Noor can't help but think that he was given something very valuable. Just then he realizes that this sword is the same width as a drain he's always cleaning for some old lady, and he wonders if he would make his job easier. Out of nowhere Ines appears to speak with Noor. Noor wonders if he's in trouble, but he is shocked when Ines takes a knee. She apologizes for treating him poorly, especially since he saved Lynn's life. Noor accepts her apology, so she explains that it's her job to protect the Clay family and that takes priority over everything. Noor realizes that she isn't a maid at all, so she explains that she's actually known as the Divine Shield and she serves as vice captain of the Clay family warrior corps. At a very young age she was appointed as shield for Lynn. It's her job to protect Lynn even if it cost her own life. Noor saved Lynn, so Ines declares that it's the same as him saving her life. Noor doesn't think it's that big of a deal, but Ines vows to help him however she can from now on. Noor thinks about how everyone there is pretty excessive, but decides to just accept her sentiment. Ines then gets very serious and points out that while Lynn may have allowed it, Noor's speech and casual behavior towards the king was unacceptable. She cannot allow it anymore and she demands that he refrain from doing so ever again. Noor apologizes and he formally introduces himself. For some reason, she is shocked to hear that his name is Noor, but she says it's nothing. Just then Gilbert stops Noor from going home and demands that he show him what he can do in battle. The story continues. We see Noor follows Gilbert, but he is exhausted from all the running around today and just wants to head home, so he asks Gilbert what they are supposed to be doing. Just then Noor realizes that they've arrived at the castle's training room and Gilbert tells him that he wants to have a mock battle with Noor. Noor hasn't gotten to practice with another person since his days back in the training schools, so he's actually pretty enthusiastic about this. Gilbert walks up to the weapons rack and tells Noor that he's pretty well known in the royal capital, so he wants to see what the hero who saved Lynn is capable of in battle, and Noor is happy to accept since he sees it as a great chance to improve his skills. He personally doesn't think he will be able to beat Gilbert, but it's a good opportunity nonetheless, so Noor wants to make the most of it. A small crowd is gathered around them and they feel sorry for the poor soul who chose to go up against Captain Gilbert, but as the match begins, Gilbert makes the first move and this poor soul easily dodges it. Gilbert continues to attack, and while Noor is dodging his attacks, he remarks that Gilbert's moves are incredibly precise. He can only imagine the amount of training Gilbert had to do to get himself to this level. There's one thing he can't understand: if Gilbert is such a skilled adventurer, then why are his attacks so slow? Noor has never practiced with another person before, so he assumes that Gilbert must be moving slow intentionally since Noor is a novice adventurer. Noor calls for a timeout and tells Gilbert that he doesn't have to go easy on him that much, and while Gilbert was indeed holding back a little, he agrees to take things up a notch, so he charges at Noor with full force. His attacks are much faster now, but Noor still finds it odd that Gilbert is leaving himself wide open for a counterattack. Noor thinks there's no way Gilbert can possibly be this defenseless against him, so he assumes that Gilbert must be luring him in for a trap. Meanwhile, Gilbert doesn't understand why he can't land a single hit on Noor with his spears, so he tries using one of his signature moves on Noor, but while Noor was surprised, he simply jumps into the air to evade it, and when Gilbert tries to strike him mid-air, he just sucks underneath the attack. None of these attacks have made Noor so much as brick as sweat, so he tells Gilbert that it's fine if he speeds up even more since he's been going way too slow. Gilbert's pride is wounded by that statement, and Noor is finally starting to realize that all this solo training might have actually made him strong, but all of a sudden Gilbert uses his ultimate skill in an attempt to at least land one hit on Noor. Once the dust has settled, Noor has vanished and appears by Gilbert's side, and to Gilbert's surprise Noor says he gives up. After that, Noor heads home for the day and he's glad he made it out of there before things hit bad. But back at the training hall, Gilbert's subordinates are busy trying to come up with reasons why Gilbert is definitely still stronger than Noor even though his ultimate move didn't work. But deep down, Gilbert knows that he lost in every way imaginable. He's had a talent for the spear ever since the first day he picked one up, so there was no one who could stand up to his power. The more he trained, the more powerful his techniques got and the more strength he gained, but through it all he felt nothing but boredom and he never found a worthy opponent for himself. He went around the kingdom and searched for strong opponents, but after he has already defeated every warrior in this particular village, the village chief apologizes and says there was no one here to match his strength. The chief goes on to tell them that there are rumors going around about the relations between the kingdom and a foreign country collapsing, so they are calling for strong troops to prepare for the likelihood of war. So if Gilbert is lucky, he might end up meeting someone who can give him the challenge that he has been so desperately looking for. Well, Gilbert returned to the capital and no single troop member was capable of standing up to him, and demon slaying was no longer a fun endeavor for him either. No matter how big the demon was, he was sick of being surrounded by weaklings. One day, while he was relaxing under a tree, his instructor walks up to him and asks why he looks so glum when he has just been crowned Spear Sovereign. Even with the fancy title, Gilbert is still as bored as ever since he's surrounded by total weaklings. His instructor brings out the Ines as a strong person, and while Gilbert agrees that she is strong and it's more of a different kind of strength, so whenever they have mock battles, Gilbert always ends up being the definitive victor. He thinks things would be a lot more interesting if there were more competent people around like his instructor, and he knows his instructor must be bored as well, especially since he has to train a bunch of rookie adventurers who don't even measure up to the power in his pinky finger. The instructor admits that it is a bit boring, but he is tasked with defending the kingdom, and no matter how strong he is, he can't win an entire war by himself. Besides, he's sure that someday an adventurer will show up that surpasses him in strength. When Gilbert heard about a man who managed to defeat a minotaur by himself, he wanted to meet him personally, but Noor makes no sense at all. He showed no interest in the most lavish gifts the king had to offer, and he was so casual with the king that Gilbert had to respect him for it. While fighting with Noor, Gilbert couldn't sense the power necessary to defeat a minotaur. That doesn't change the fact that Noor was able to dodge all of his moves. Even when he busted out his supersonic spear strike, it still did nothing against Noor. Well, it would have been a guaranteed death sentence to any other person. On top of that, Noor forfeited the match out of nowhere. Gilbert assumes Noor did it out of currencies since he didn't want to embarrass him in front of his subordinates. As Noor was leaving, Gilbert noticed a bunch of cracks in the floor, and he has no idea how they got here or what Noor did to cause them, but what he does know is that Noor was able to dodge his ultimate attack while he was at full power, so he has finally found truly worth opponent he has been searching for. As Noor walks home, he thinks about how foolish he was to think that he was strong. When Gilbert used his ultimate attack, even after Noor used his physical enhancement and feather step abilities, he was only able to barely evade the strike, and Gilbert must have been holding back just enough to prove a point, since there's no way she would actually use a lethal move a mock battle. He feels thankful to Gilbert for reminding him that he is still weak, so he's going to train even harder from now on. The next morning, Noor is busy with his usual gutter cleaning job and he's using the legendary sword to do it. He's shocked at how well the sword works for this, since the gutters have never been so clean before, and thanks to the sword's durability, it hasn't gotten even slightly scratched after all Noor has done with it. However, once he's done with his gutter cleaning, he is left with nothing to do since his construction job got put on hold because of the incident and the dungeon. Since he is only allowed to accept efferent jobs if what can the royal capital ever dries up, there may be entire days that he will have nothing to do, and Noor doesn't want that happen since his goal is to be useful to people. He considers starting a boat ride business and using the sword as an oar, but then he realizes that he would have to own a boat for that. He considers making pieces, but then he would need an oven. He finally considers making a grill out of his sword, but that won't work either since he can only make a flame with his fingertips. Just then, Noor hears from rustling in the bushes, so he turns around and finds Lynn standing there. She apologizes for showing up like this, but she couldn't find him at the guild, so she asked the guild master window would be. Noor understands, but he didn't tell the guild master his exact location, so Lynn must have used her tracking abilities to find him. Noor asks why Lynn is here, so she is straight to the point and tells Noor that she has a special request to ask him. She wants Noor to accept her as his page, but Noor has never even heard of a page before, so Lynn explains that it is an unpaid assistant who takes care of all of Noor's daily necessities in hopes of gaining some useful knowledge from him. She's fine as just being allowed to hang around Noor, and she promises that she will cause him any trouble, but Noor still refuses. She asks if she has done something to offend Noor or if she thinks she's unreliable, but Noor tells her that's not the case. She tries to assure him that she can be of use since she has scored the highest marks in all 6 training schools, but her competence isn't the issue here. There's just nothing for Noor teacher, and he doesn't need her to help him with his work either since he is perfectly capable of doing it on his own. Lynn tries to offer Noor a huge salary if he agrees to be her instructor, but he still doesn't care about money, so Lynn offers to let him use her to do whatever he wants, but Noor turns her down again. He really just doesn't have anything for Lynn to do, but she remains insistent and wants to prove to him that she can be useful, so she takes out her wand and says she's going to demonstrate her competence. She casts an ice spell to fire several icicles of herself, but before she gets hit, she uses a fire spell to destroy them. She tells Noor that this is the highest level of magic she can use, and in addition to that, she has also learned the secret skill of the thief class called Mist Blade. She learned it directly from the Sovereign of Shadows and is strong enough to easily cut down a tree with one swing. Next up, she wants to show Noor her sword skill, so she sends a divine slash straight towards Noor, but he effortlessly evades. The damage that is done to the trees is proof of how powerful the move is, and it's even got bonus damage when used against undead monsters. She's about to show more of her skills, but Noor tells her that he has seen enough. Lynn thinks this means he is willing to accept her as his page, but Noor still denies her request. Noor realizes Lynn must think he is someone who's worth studying under, but after seeing everything she's capable of doing, Noor honestly feels inferior compared to her. He tries telling her once more that there's nothing he can teach her, but Lynn takes that to mean that Noor thinks she's too weak to become a student. She serves that her power has been acknowledged by all the 6 sovereigns, and she's sure she can be useful to Noor in some way if she lets her join him. Noor's point still isn't getting through, so he tells Lynn that she possesses many amazing skills, but this is the current limit of Noor's skills. Lynn has left speechless and leaves Noor alone for today, but as she's walking home, she recounts the story of a boy with no talent who went through all 6 training schools. People often thought this was nothing more than a made-up legend since most adults would crumble under the pressure of the rigorous training program at one school, let alone complete the courses at all 6, and Lynn thought it was a fake story as well, but she actually got to meet this person. Back when she was studying magic, Oaken showed her something interesting about the basic spell Tiny Flame. While the flame created is usually as small as a point, with enough practice, one can make the flame slightly bigger. It had no practical use to him that he had been alive for 200 years at this point, so practicing the tiny flame became a hobby for him. Since she saw that Lynn has made several attempts to make her tiny flames slightly larger, but no matter what she does, it doesn't grow at all. It's something that requires tireless devotion over a long period of time, which is precisely why she was so shocked when Noor was able to create a massive tiny flame many times bigger than what Oaken could have ever done, and Oaken is the greatest wizard the world. For Noor's skills to be at such a level means far outclasses anything Lynn could pull off, and it was all done through his own effort. However, all the spells Lynn demonstrated were just things she had memorized. Noor had the power to defeat a minotaur that he still lives a regular life without bragging or showboating, so Lynn believes Noor is not only strong in body but also in mind. In the near future she will be in a position to lead this kingdom alongside her brother and father, and the rule of the Clay's family is that those with royal blood must be strong, so she wants to learn how to attain strength like Noor's. So if Noor doesn't want to be her instructor, then she's just going to have to stalk him as much necessary until he agrees to train her. The story continues. We see at the mansion the prince is trying to complaining to himself because he doesn't understand why his father would give the black blade to a random man of unknown lineage. The sword was acquired back when the king was still an adventurer, and on this particular trip he was delving into the deepest corners of the dungeon with the 6 sovereigns, and while it was a long and dangerous quest, it eventually led them to locate the prime dungeon treasure. The blade is made of an unknown material that is stronger than anything the kingdom has ever seen, so regardless of the skills and powers that were used to test it, there wasn't even a single scratch on it, so the sword was dubbed an indestructible sword. The biggest question they had about it was how a weapon that's so resilient managed to end up in such bad shape, but those answers will never be found now that the king has given up the sword. But then again, the prince could understand the king's motives, since the state of unrest within the kingdom has only gotten worse in recent months, so it is possible that the king is counting on Noor to bring some amount of change. At that same moment, Noor and Lynn out by a food stand, and Noor asks her it is alright for her to be casually hang out with him, but she says it's fine since she's acting as an adventurer right now, so she's free to do whatever she wants. In that case, Noor tells her that he was planning on heading to the guild after they'd eaten, but he's still not comfortable with the student-slash-stalker relationship he has with Lynn. He doesn't think he's someone worthy of being called a teacher, but Lynn is following him everywhere he goes, like he's perfectly normal. Noor thinks if he takes on some of his usual errand quests from the guild, then sooner or later Lynn should come to understand that Noor is just a regular dude and lose interest, but with how excited she looks to be following him it doesn't seem likely. After lunch Noor and Lynn head to the guild, but the guild master is confused to see Noor casually hanging out with the princess, so he asks Noor what's going on. Lynn reminds the guild master that while she's here, she's just an adventurer, so we shouldn't call her princess. Guild master apologizing, but now he's even more confused than before, so he asks Noor about it. Noor says it's a really complicated story, but guild master has been doing this job for long enough to know that he doesn't want to get involved in complicated subplots, so he drops the subject and asks Noor if he came here to get another quest. Noor confirms this and asks for one that 2 people can handle, so Guildmaster takes a look at the questions he has available, and since Lynn will be joining Noor while she is Silver B rank, Noor now qualifies to take on a goblin hunting quest, which is a totally shocked him. Goblin quests are staples for new adventurers to test their skills, so he really excited to be allowed to take on such a quest. Guildmaster says that normally Lynn would be able to take this request or something higher level alone, since Noor's F rank this is the best they're allowed to have. Noor is happy to finally be getting a quest that isn't just labor, but he also feels kind of bad since this means he will be taking advantage of Lynn's adventurer rank for his own personal gain. And up till now, he's been trying to get Lynn to leave him alone, so he doesn't think he deserves to rely on her now. He asks Lynn she's okay with this since Noor will be using her rank to accept this job, but Lynn says it's fine since she is just happy to help in any way she can. Noor glad to hear she's alright with it, even if she still has reservations about relying on a child, but since it's for the sake of one of his dreams, he's willing to go along with it and picks up his sword to head out. However, Guildmaster hasn't given it Noor any information about the quest yet, so Noor has to come back in and ask where exactly he is supposed to be going. After finally improving the quest, Guildmaster points to a map and tells Noor that he and Lynn are meant to head to this area, and they are only allowed to report monsters that they actually caught. The location is known as the Forest of Beasts, and as per guild rules they need to bring back the right ears of the goblins they slay in order to get compensated, but then again there have been reports that goblin populations have been dwindling, so in the event they don't manage to find any goblins, they're allowed to bring back some medicinal herbs or something instead. With that settled, Noor and Lynn head to the gatekeepers where their information needs to be reviewed, and after everything is verified, they are both allowed to leave on their quest. A while later, they arrived in the Forest of Beasts, and this is Noor's first time seeing such dense vegetation, and they are different from the trees he usually sees in the southern forests. While on the topic of things Noor has never seen before, he asked Lynn if she can tell her a bit about goblins since he would like to know what they are like before he encountered one. Lynn understands and begins telling him about how goblins are monsters. They usually hunt small animals and gather fruits for foods, but they are also known to attack human. If left unchecked, their population could easily grow out of control, which is why the guild gives quests like these to help keep the goblin population under control. But goblins are also a valuable part of the forest ecosystem, so it is best not to hunt them to extinction. Noor is grateful for the information, and he is also impressed with how much knowledge Lynn has about adventuring, but this just means there really isn't anything for him to teach her. As they head deeper into the forest, Lynn uses her search ability to scan for any nearby goblins, but she doesn't find anything nearby. Under normal circumstances, they should have already encountered at least one goblin, but it seems like the rumors about dwindling goblin numbers are true after all. But she didn't find any goblins. Lynn's scan didn't manage to pick up on a monster-like creature, but it's a bit far away, since they don't have any other monsters to hunt. Noor agrees, goes searching for this unknown monster. They start heading even deeper into the forest, and the further they go, the denser the trees get, giving the area an ominous vibe. This is the kind of location a goblin would love to hang around, but as they're walking, Lynn notices something strange as the presence of the monster they were tracking just disappears all of a sudden. They arrived at the location Lynn had previously sensed the monster, but as far as they can tell, there's nothing here. However, Noor notices a pair of dangling legs floating in the air, so Lynn casts an uncover spell and it reveals a massive goblin in the middle of the woods. Noor asks what that thing is, and Lynn answers that she thinks it's a goblin, but she probably should have clarified that regular goblins don't have 10-pack abs, since now, Noor thinks all goblins are meant to be this. The goblin picks up 2 trees to attack them with, and Lynn is absolutely freaking out, but Noor just thinks she's scared because she doesn't have much combat experience. However, the real reason she's freaking out is because that thing is a goblin emperor. A goblin emperor is a monster created when scientists lock a goblin in a gym with nothing but protein powder and steroids, and on top of already being ridiculously jacked, this one is capable of eating other goblins and ingesting their strengths to grow stronger. Noor speaks up and tells her that there's nothing to worry about, since from his limited goblin knowledge, even new adventurers should be able to defeat this thing, and seeing Noor remain so confident gives Lynn the false impression that he must have known about the Goblin Emperor ahead of time, which is why he was so excited to get to eliminate this serious threat. She now has even more respect for Noor than she already did, and since he seems confident in their ability to win this fight, she decides to show a little courage and stand alongside him to fight. The goblin charges towards them, so Noor gets in position and parries all its strikes. The goblin realizes that Noor is too skilled, so it attempts to sweep Noor into a corner to gain the advantage. However, Noor knows what it is trying to do, so he overpowers the goblin, and while it is stun locked, he instructs Lynn to attack. She fires her wind spell, followed by an icicle barrage, but even with that, the goblin is moving too quickly for her to get a clean shot off on it. Once the goblin starts running, it trips a huge tree at Lynn, but before she gets hit, Noor runs in front of her and blocks the attack. The goblin continues tossing trees at Noor and eventually comes up with the idea to overwhelm him by tossing several trees at him from above and one from the front, so now Noor can't block all of them at once. Luckily, before Noor gets hit, Lynn uses a windblast spell and blows the trees away while dealing damage to the goblin. Noor thanks her for the help, but as Lynn looks back at the goblin, she's shocked to find that it is human and abnormally quick rate. The mana stone on its head is probably allowing it to replenish its strength, so at this rate they are definitely going to run on the stamina before they can defeat it. Just then, Noor comes up with an idea to defeat the goblins, so he asks to learn to fire a wind blast straight in his back. Lynn thinks that's a crazy idea, since one of the wind blasts is strong enough to demolish a castle walls, so a direct hit is guaranteed to seriously injure Noor. Yet, Noor still wants to go through with the plan of the sides. He has his sword in his back, so he will be taking the hit directly. The only chance they have at winning is to be faster than the goblin, and this is the only plan they've got, so Lynn agrees to help. As the goblin is preparing to attack once more, Lynn fires a wind blast at Noor and sends him flying forward at incredible speeds. He blacks out for a second, but after regaining consciousness he uses his physical enhancement to stabilize himself, feather step to evade the monster's tree tosses, and low heel to relieve the stress on his body. This allows him to get close enough to the goblin and strike it cleanly in the forehead, dislodging the mana stone. With the mana stone removed, it will now be a lot easier to kill the goblins, so Noor asks Lynn to finish it off. But since it's in a lot of pain already, he asks her not to make it suffer. Lynn agrees, but she then proceeds to burn the goblin to death. I don't think that counts as itself from free death. Thankfully, they are done with their quest for today, but Noor says he's going to refrain from going on any more goblin slaying quests, since he clearly isn't strong enough to handle mere goblin as he is now. Later that evening, the prince has received news of the Goblin Emperor that Noor and Lynn defeated, and he is almost certain that the magical empire is behind this somehow. But something that really concerns him is the purity of the mana stone that was implanted in the goblin's head. Something like this could only have come from the holy theocracy of Mitra, so they now have to worry about them as well. The prince asks how Lynn is doing after the fight, and he is relieved to hear that she only suffered minor wounds despite being up against a monster like that, but according to what Lynn told the secret course, the goblin was using his high-level cloaking magic, so it was probably in the forest for at least a couple of days. The prince is surprised that her cloaking magic that was imperceptible even to their special forces. Put that aside, how the hell did the magic empire transport a giant monster like that into the kingdom without anyone noticing? Even if it were done with something magic, the kingdom's magic networks should have been able to detect it. He asked if there were any indications that the Goblin Emperor was in the forest, and the secret course mentioned that there was a declining number of regular goblins in the area, which prompted the guild to post jobs to conduct an investigation, and on the off chance that this wasn't an isolated incident, they have gone through the trouble of compiling every strange occurrence that has happened within the past few months. The prince thanks them and asks that they keep investigating in case anything else happens so they can report to him, and at the same time, Noor reporting to the guild to claim their reward. The guild master asked Noor how his first goblin hunt went, and still thinking the Goblin Emperor was a regular goblin. Noor says it was a lot harder than he expected it to be, and if Lynn hadn't been there to back him up, he has no idea what he would have done. The guild master laughs and assumes that Noor must have been hiding the whole time while Lynn did all the work, and Noor is too humble to give himself any credit, so he says Lynn was indeed the one who finished it off, but he wishes he had known the red stone on the goblin's forehead would be a weak spot earlier. Guildmaster has no idea what Noor is talking about since regular goblins don't have magic stones on their heads, so he asked if what they thought was really just a goblin, and as far as Noor knows, all goblins are 12 feet tall, so he says it was a normal goblin and Guildmaster takes his word for it. The paperwork is officially complete, so now they just need to provide the proof of the goblin kill. However, that's when they remember that Lynn burned the body's ashes, so there's nothing for them to present this proof. That brings the episode to an end. Thanks for watching. Want next part? Subscribe the channel and turn on notification bell.